Hello everyone and welcome to this video. Now today I'm going to be looking at this album. It is the Jam's debut album, In the City. What today celebrates its 40th anniversary. So what I'm going to do in this review is give a bit of quick background information about the album. Then I will go over each of the album songs in detail and also show you my vinyl copy of the album. So yeah, as I said, it is the 40th anniversary of this album today, released on the 20th of May in 1977. So a bit of background information about the Jam. They got together in 1972 as a three-piece band consisting of Paul Weller, Rick Butler, and a guy called Steve Brooks. Weller was also playing bass in this lineup. Brooks was playing guitar as well. However, they were looking for a second guitarist, and this is where Bruce Foxton comes in. He auditions as a second guitarist. However, he wasn't very good on guitar, so Weller offered to swap with him. Weller gave Bruce his bass, and Weller took over guitar. And that seemed to work. They enjoyed playing local gigs around in the Woking area. However, shortly after this though, Steve Brooks left the band. He didn't really sort of the mod direction what the band was going into. This was at the time this was at the time when Weller had just discovered the Who and their first album My Generation. He really loved this album and wanted the band to go in this sort of 60s mod sound. However, Steve Brooks was more sort of into the Beatles and rock and roll sort of stuff. They were also strongly encouraged by Weller's father, a guy called John Weller, who would book gigs for them. He would drive the vans and really support his son's ambitions. He would manage Paul Weller's career right up until he died in 2010. So yeah, then we get to this album and 1976, which was the year of punk sort of beginning, and Weller witnessed seeing the Sex Pistols live, and they wanted to capture the same sort of energy but with a more sort of clean cut mod 60s image. They gained a following playing London sort of clubs, and was signed to Polydor Records in early 1977. A debut single, which was the title track from the album, In the City, was a UK top 40 hit. When the album was released, it was very well received. Critics especially impressed with Weller's songwriting, and noting that he showed great promise for future songwriting abilities. The album done quite well, reaching number 20 on the UK albums charts. So yeah, I'm now just going to show you my vinyl copy of it here. This is a reissue from the Jam vinyl box set, which has all of the albums in it. So yeah, nice front cover. There's the back of it there, and this doesn't have a fancy inner sleeve, but we're just on this sort of custom Jam label there, which I believe was also on the original pressings as well. So yeah, that's really nice. Okay, so now I'm going to go over each of the album songs. I will score each track out of 10, and then those scores will be used to give us a overall percentage marking for the album. So the album opens up with a song called Art School, which is a real sort of energetic opening track. Lyrically, it's great, about sort of being free, and able to express yourself. Lyrics with lyrics such as fools only laugh because they envy you. It's a real great song. A little bit short, it's about 2 minutes long than that, but I think a great way to kick off this album and also kick off the Jam's career. Yeah, a brilliant start there. Art School. But then that is followed up with a song called I've Changed My Address, which I'm giving a 7 out of 10 to. Not as huge on this track. It's another similarly frantically paced song. The verses are a little bit weak melodically, but the chorus though is quite catchy and good. If anything, the song drags a little bit for me. It's about 3 minutes plus this song, which is quite long for a punk track. However, it does change key towards the end of the track, which does keep it slightly more interesting. So yeah, not a bad track there, just not brilliant though. I've Changed My Address. And then we get a cover of the song called Slow Down, which was written by Laddie Williams. And yeah, like this is like a great track. Like Weller would have heard this one like through like the Beatles version, like what like the Beatles like done, which a guy like also like knew first. Comparing it to like this one though, the Jam put like their own sort of like spin like on like the track, and like it really works. Like I really like their version of the song. It's probably my favourite version, like if I could be like honest with you. Yeah, like a brilliant track performed really, really well here from the Jam. And then we get what's possibly my favourite track like on the album. It's called I Got By in Time, which is yeah, like this track just really swings. Like it's kind of got like a Northern Soul kind of like sound to it, but like delivered like with like this sort of like punk attitude. Like it's just a really great song, really, really like underrated. Yeah, like great lyrics like on it as well. So yeah, like I Got By in Time would get a 10 out of 10. Right now, one of the more popular songs on the album is Away From the Numbers, which is also a really strong song. And like yeah, like one of like, the more popular choices like on like the album. This one does have like for me like a real Who sound to it, like especially like in like the drumming. It's got like a really like great chorus like as well. Although for me this one does like again like go on like a little bit too long, and like it's never been like a huge like favourite Jam track of mine, but it is still a very good song though, like nonetheless. And then side one closes a little bit weaker for me with the song Batman Theme. Very fillery this track here. This was like a popular song again like the 60s, like for bands to cover, like the Who like did a version like on like an EP. Yeah, but for me it kind of just spoils the flow like of the album. Thankfully like it's over very quickly, like it's only about like a minute and like 30 seconds like or something like that. So yeah, like it's not much, just a little blot like on the album for me personally. And then opening up to side 2 of the album, we get the title song In the City, which was the Jam's first single and like a real classic song, like in my opinion. Lyrically, like it reflects like the optimism like of like the punk movement like that, like it would like achieve something and that. And like it also like takes its title like once again like the Who cropping up, like this was like an obscure like Who B-side. But yeah, a great track, real great riff, like Weller like delivers like the vocal with like a lot of like passion and like gusto. Yeah, a fantastic track I think. Second track on side 2 is also very good, called Sounds From the Street, which is yeah like a real like good rocker. This song like celebrates London, like there's one line like in it where like he mentions like he's from Woking, but like his heart is in the city where it belongs. Yeah, like a great lyric, great like harmony vocals like as well between like Weller and like Bruce Foxton. Just a fantastic track I think, Sounds From the Street. Then we get a slightly weaker track for me, Non-Stop Dancing, which, yeah, like one of like the weaker ones like on the album, giving it a 6 out of 10. Lyrically, like it's based on, like it's quite basic, like just about like going like dancing like in clubs. Not much of like a tune to it for me personally. Performance like a little bit flat like as well. Yeah, this one, not one of the Jam's finest moments. And you think you've got it worked out. And then we get a song which is called Time for Truth, which is another slightly like undistinguished rocker. Lyrically though, this one like is quite interesting. Like it laments the loss of like the British Empire, like and puts blame like on this like somewhat on like then Labour Prime Minister James Callaghan. Like the Jam were like slightly like confused like politically like at this point in time. Like in like interviews like they said that like they would like support like the Conservative Party like at like the next like election, which like set them like apart like from like other punk bands, like maybe maybe like that was like their like intention and that, but like other songs like on the album such as Art School and like In the City like are quite like sort of like pro-youth like anti-establishment songs. But yeah, for me Time for Truth like isn't like one of like the best tracks like on the album personally. The penultimate song is called Taking My Love, which I do quite like, giving it a 7 out of 10. This is one of Weller's like earliest like compositions. Like there's like audio like off like the Jam performing this song like as way back as like 1975. Quite basic lyrically, but like, it is very catchy though, rocks along great, fantastic guitar playing like in it as well. So yeah, a great track there, Taking My Love. And then we close the album with the song Bricks and Mortar, which is another pretty good track, I have to say. Like it's quite like interesting, like lyrically, like also like as well, like quite topical, like about like the lack of housing and like homelessness. Like this song like attacks like councillors like and like the government like for like not doing enough like to solve this. It is like a little bit short though, like as like a song like for me like could have been like developed like a little bit more, because it is like a great idea like for like a song like within like this track. Like if only like it had been like kind of like sort of like fully fleshed out like a little bit more. But yeah, still like a great way to close the album, I feel. So overall this album would score 78%, which yeah, overall this is a terrific debut album. Like you have to consider like as well, Weller like was only 18 when this album like was released. Like it is like a tremendous like achievement like for someone like that young. Like there's so many like brilliant tracks like on here, such as Art School, I Got By in Time, like Away From the Numbers, In the City, and Sounds From the Street. These songs like show like a strong like maturity, missing like from many like off like the Jam's like punk contemporaries. However, for me it isn't completely perfect, because there are like some weaker tracks like at like the end like off side 2, like Non-Stop Dancing, Time for Truth. Like, and also like the Batman theme, like as well, like kind of like plots the album somewhat. But still, yeah, like a great debut album here. Like one that would set Weller like on like a fantastic like trajectory, like which he's been on like ever since. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this album review. Like I would like to know what you think of this album down below in the comment section. And I will see you all next time for the next video. Goodbye.